The boardroom door swung open with a soft click that felt like a gunshot in the sudden silence. Little Emma, only 6 years old, clutched her father's hand so tightly her knuckles turned white. She had been promised ice cream after Daddy's quick meeting, but the air inside the gleaming glass-walled room tasted bitter, like metal and fear. At the head of the long obsidian table sat Victoria Langford, CEO of Langford Dynamics, 38, immaculate in charcoal Armani, eyes the color of winter steel. She didn't look up from the tablet in her hand as Daniel Harper, 34, single father, senior software architect, employee of the year 2 years running, stepped forward with his small daughter trailing behind like a shadow. "Mr. Harper," Victoria said without preamble, voice clipped and clinical, "your position is terminated effective immediately. Security will escort you to collect your personal items. Your access has already been revoked." Daniel blinked once, slowly, as though the words needed a moment to reach his brain. Emma tilted her head up at him, confused. "Daddy? Why is the pretty lady mad?" Victoria finally glanced at the child, expression unchanging. "This is a workplace, not a daycare. Bringing dependents to termination meetings is unprofessional." Daniel's voice came out hoarse. "I had no choice. The school called, half-day for teacher training. My sitter canceled last minute. I told HR. They said it was fine for 1 hour. 1 hour became 3, Victoria countered. And now the board is waiting for the quarterly projections you were supposed to present. Projections, I might add, that are already 47 minutes late." She tapped the tablet screen. "Your severance package is standard. 2 months. Sign the NDA on your way out." Daniel stared at the folder sliding across the polished surface toward him. Inside were numbers that would barely cover rent and Emma's asthma medication for 6 weeks. He felt the room tilt. Emma tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, are we going home now?" Before he could answer, Victoria's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, frowned, then looked back at Daniel with something close to irritation. "You're still here." Daniel swallowed. "I've been here 9 years. I built the core routing algorithm that saved the merger with Nexlify. I worked 80-hour weeks when the server farm in Ohio caught fire. Past performance," Victoria cut in, "does not guarantee future employment. We're downsizing 15%. You drew the short straw. Nothing personal." Daniel's laugh was short, bitter. "Nothing personal. Right." He turned to leave, Emma's small hand still locked in his. At the door he paused, looked back. "She's 6. She has asthma. If I can't pay for her inhalers next month." "That's not my concern," Victoria said flatly. "Good luck, Mr. Harper." The door closed behind them with the same soft, final click. 5 minutes later. Victoria Langford stood alone at the floor-to-ceiling window of her corner office, 37th floor, watching the city crawl far below like a living circuit board. Her reflection stared back, perfect posture, perfect lipstick, perfect control. Her phone rang again. This time she answered immediately. "Victoria, it's Marcus," her CFO sounded like he'd been punched in the throat. "The Singapore exchange just halted trading on our stock. There's a cascading failure in the primary data pipeline. The one your new contractor rewrote last quarter." Victoria's stomach dropped half an inch. "That's impossible. We stress-tested it for 6 weeks. They didn't stress-test the failover switch under simultaneous DDoS and power grid flicker. It's offline. The entire Asia-Pacific routing table is black. Clients are losing billions in trades. The board is screaming for your head on a platter." She gripped the edge of her desk. "Get the backup cluster online. It's locked out. The authentication keys were regenerated yesterday. Only 2 people had root access, the lead architect who just left the building, and you." Victoria closed her eyes for one heartbeat. Daniel Harper. Yes. She was already moving, heels striking marble like gunfire. Find him. Now. Down in the lobby, Daniel knelt beside Emma on a marble bench near the revolving doors. She was crying quietly into his shoulder because the security guard had taken her drawing of Daddy's big computer and torn it in half when he searched her backpack. Daniel rocked her gently. It's okay, Peanut. We'll draw a bigger one at home. A woman in a navy blazer hurried over, Victoria's executive assistant, breathless. Mr. Harper. Ms. Langford needs to speak with you. Urgently. Daniel didn't look up. Tell Ms. Langford she can email me the rest of my humiliation. I'm busy. It's an emergency. The company is bleeding out. Right now. He finally raised his eyes. Something in the woman's face, genuine panic, made him stand. Emma clung to his leg. 5 minutes, he said. Then I'm taking my daughter for ice cream. The cheap kind. Because that's what we can afford now. Back in the boardroom, the same room that had spat him out only minutes earlier, Victoria stood alone. The tablet was dark. The projections no longer mattered. Daniel entered with Emma still attached to his side like a barnacle. Victoria spoke before he could. The pipeline is down. We're hemorrhaging clients by the second. The backup cluster is locked behind your root credentials. The new contractor didn't document the override sequence. You're the only one who knows it by heart. Daniel looked at her for a long moment. You fired me in front of my 6-year-old daughter. You told me her medication wasn't your concern. And now you want my help? Victoria's jaw tightened. I'm asking. Not ordering. You're begging, he corrected quietly. Silence stretched thin and painful. Emma looked up at the tall woman in the expensive suit. Are you sorry, pretty lady? Victoria's throat worked. She had not cried since her father died when she was 19. She refused to start now. But her voice cracked anyway. Yes, she said. I'm sorry. Daniel studied her. Really studied her. The perfect mask was fracturing, tiny spider lines of exhaustion around her eyes, a tremor in the fingers that gripped the back of a chair. He exhaled. Sit down, Emma. Color on the back of this useless severance folder. Emma obeyed, spreading crayons across the obsidian. Daniel walked to the window, pulled out his personal laptop from the messenger bag security hadn't yet confiscated, and opened a terminal window. His fingers moved with the same calm precision they always had. Root override sequence is a triple hash mnemonic tied to my daughter's birthday and the latitude-longitude of the first apartment we lived in after her mom left. Not something you Google. He typed. Lines of code scrolled. Victoria watched, not breathing. 37 seconds later the backup cluster blinked green. Failover initiated, Daniel said. You have 17 minutes before the secondary cache expires. Tell your engineers to push the patched routing table I uploaded to the private repo 3 weeks ago, the one your new lead architect called overkill. It isn't. Victoria grabbed her phone, barking orders. Within 4 minutes the Singapore Exchange lights began flickering back to life. When she lowered the phone, the room was quiet except for the soft scratch of crayons. Daniel closed his laptop. You have your empire back. Congratulations. He turned to pick up Emma. Wait, Victoria said. Too quickly. Please. He stopped. I was wrong, she said. Not just tactically. Morally. I treated you like a line item. I treated her, her gaze dropped to Emma, like an inconvenience. I've spent 10 years building this company because I thought if it was big enough, strong enough, nothing could hurt me again. Turns out I was wrong about that too. Daniel waited. I want to make this right, she continued. Full reinstatement. Back pay. Bonus for saving the company today. And medical coverage. Full coverage. No questions. For Emma. For as long as you both need. Daniel looked down at his daughter. Emma had drawn a new picture, a tall building, a man holding a little girl's hand, and a woman in a suit standing beside them. Not firing anyone. Just standing. He met Victoria's eyes again. I'll come back. But only on one condition. Name it. You sit with Emma every Friday afternoon for 1 hour. No phone. No tablet. You listen to her talk about dinosaurs or glitter or whatever 6-year-olds talk about. You learn her name. You learn she's not an inconvenience. She's the entire reason I get up every morning. Victoria blinked rapidly. I don't know how to talk to children. Then you'll learn, Daniel said simply. Same way the rest of us do. A tear escaped down Victoria's cheek. She didn't wipe it away. Deal, she whispered. 6 months later. The company Christmas party was held in the same boardroom, but the long table was covered in red cloth and littered with cookies and juice boxes. Emma sat on the floor showing Victoria her newest drawing, this one of a dragon wearing a business suit. Victoria, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened for the first time anyone could remember, listened with fierce concentration. Daniel watched from the doorway, coffee in hand. Later that night, as he tucked Emma into bed, she yawned. The pretty lady isn't mean anymore, Daddy. No, he agreed, kissing her forehead. She's not. Sometimes empires aren't saved by ruthless decisions or billion-dollar bailouts. Sometimes they're saved by a 6-year-old's question, a father's quiet dignity, and one powerful woman brave enough to say, I was wrong. And to keep showing up, week after week, until the word, sorry, turns into something real. If this story touched your heart, smash that like button, it helps other people find these kinds of stories. And if you want more tales of redemption, second chances, and ordinary heroes, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We post every week. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.